You are sitting across from someone you trust, sharing a meal, laughing at a shared joke, and feeling the warm comfort of connection. They look you in the eyes, promising their unwavering support. Yet, beneath the pleasant noise, a faint, cold whisper of doubt stirs in your chest. It is a silent warning you choose to ignore, because the alternative is too painful to face. Why does the deepest betrayal always arrive as a sudden, paralyzing shock, even when the quiet signs were dancing right before your eyes? Centuries ago, a man who watched the rise and fall of empires from the cold stone corridors of power understood this terrifying human reality. Niccolò Machiavelli did not look at humanity through the soft lens of hope, but through the harsh glass of reality. He realized that your greatest danger never comes from the enemy standing outside your gates, but from the companion standing beside you, quietly measuring the distance between your ribs. And the fifth behavior is the most dangerous of all, a psychological trap so masterfully hidden that you will likely mistake it for deep affection until your dignity has already been stripped away. We are taught to believe in a beautiful, fragile illusion, that if we are kind, loyal, and honest, the world will return that goodness to us. This gentle lie is precisely what leaves you exposed to the most brutal storms of life. Machiavelli did not write to encourage malice, but to arm the good against the relentless pragmatism of those who are not. His philosophy is built entirely on the concept of the effective truth, the world as it actually behaves, stripped of the comforting makeup of moral platitudes. To survive, you must look directly into the shadow, accepting that human beings are fundamentally driven by fear and their own hidden desires for power and control. Betrayal is not an unnatural error in the human machine. It is the machine functioning exactly as designed when self-preservation is on the line. Once you adopt this clear, unblinking lens, you stop asking why people hurt you. You begin to recognize the predictable patterns of human nature before they have the chance to destroy you. Observe the person who celebrates your victories with the loudest enthusiasm yet falls silent the moment you stumble. When your status was high, this individual was always by your side, eager to bask in your light. But the moment a crisis hit and your standing took a sudden, painful hit, they vanished. Their messages became brief, their excuses plentiful, and their warmth gave way to a cold, polite distance. This behavior is driven by a fragile ego that cannot survive without feeding on others' status. They do not value your humanity. They value the reflected power they gain from standing near you. Machiavelli observed that men are quick to change their allegiance when they believe they can improve their own fortune, proving that loyalty is often nothing more than a calculated investment. When your utility drops, they do not hesitate to sell their share of your life to protect themselves from going down with you. Their loyalty was never real. It was a temporary lease on your success, and when you can no longer pay that dividend, they will evict you without a second thought. The loudest applause in your bright moments often comes from the very people who will look away during your darkest nights. Some shower you with unsolicited favors, only to use their kindness as an invisible cage to control your choices. It starts with sudden gifts or doors opened for you with an air of effortless generosity, creating a deep, silent debt of gratitude. But this gratitude soon begins to feel heavy. The moment you make a choice that does not align with their wishes, they gently remind you of everything they have done for you, dropping subtle hints about your obligation. They make you feel as though any boundary you set is an act of ultimate betrayal. This transactional generosity is a trap designed to bypass your defenses and buy your submission, driven by a desperate need for control disguised as kindness. Machiavelli understood this dynamic, noting that obligations created through false generosity are nothing more than chains disguised as ribbons. He knew that a bond built on guilt is far more reliable for a manipulator than a bond built on genuine affection. If every gift comes with an unwritten invoice, you are not being loved. You are being bought. Watch closely for the companion who quietly uses humor and playful teasing to erode your self-esteem in front of an audience. They wait until you are in a group to bring up your past mistakes or deepest insecurities, wrapping the insult in a loud laugh and a smile. If you show even a flicker of pain, they quickly defend themselves by saying it was only a joke and accuse you of being far too sensitive. In private, they are supportive, but in public, their tone sharpens into a weapon. This pattern is the classic mask of resentment, worn by those who envy your strength but lack the courage to challenge you openly. Their ego is too weak to handle direct conflict, so they resort to a slow, passive-aggressive sabotage of your dignity. Machiavelli warned that the most dangerous enemies are not those who declare open warfare, but those who damage your standing while pretending to be your allies. A knife wrapped in a joke still cuts to the bone, and a friend who constantly tests your tolerance for humiliation is simply preparing you for a much larger betrayal when the stakes are high. Notice the terrifying speed at which a person's warmth turns into an icy mountain of cold the moment you finally say no to their demands. For months, you have been their reliable savior, putting your own life on hold to carry their weight, believing you were building a deep, reciprocal bond of mutual respect. But the day you are exhausted and set a firm boundary, the illusion shatters. The appreciation they once expressed disappears, replaced by a harsh, punishing silence meant to make you feel guilty for your selfishness. This rapid shift exposes the brutal truth that they never loved you. They only loved your utility. To them, your boundary is an act of personal aggression, a violation of the silent contract in which you exist solely to serve their needs. Machiavelli wrote that when people believe they can no longer benefit from your strength, their hatred of your boundaries will always overcome their memory of your kindness. Your value was entirely dependent on your utility, and once that flow of service stops, the relationship is revealed for what it always was: a cold, parasitic exchange. The final behavior, and the most dangerous trap of all, is the individual who weaponizes their own weakness and suffering to force your compliance. They do not attempt to control you through strength. Instead, they control you through their collapse. Every time you try to address the hurt they have caused, they immediately redirect the focus to their own trauma, fragility, or overwhelming pain. Suddenly, the narrative is inverted. You, the victim of their actions, find yourself comforting them, apologizing for bringing up your own hurt, and feeling a deep, suffocating guilt for even questioning them. This is a masterclass in psychological manipulation, where weakness is transformed into an absolute authority that you are never allowed to challenge. The hidden driver is a fragile ego that cannot tolerate the humiliation of being wrong, choosing instead to keep you permanently off balance by making you responsible for their emotional survival. Machiavelli observed this subtle tactic, recognizing that pretending to be helpless is often a far more effective way to disarm a stronger opponent than showing force. It is a slow, silent poison that hollows you out from within, forcing you to sacrifice your own mental peace to protect an illusion of their fragile stability. Some people do not want to heal their wounds. They only want to use them as weapons to bleed you dry. Yet, as we dissect these dark patterns of human deception, we must stop and confront a deeply uncomfortable truth that lies within our own hearts. It is easy to look outward and identify the manipulators, casting ourselves as the pure, innocent victims of a cruel world. But if you are entirely honest, you will remember moments when you too wore a mask of false warmth to secure an advantage. You will remember times when you stayed silent while an innocent colleague was slandered because speaking up would have threatened your own security. We are all capable of dark calculations when our safety, our ego, or our survival is threatened. The ultimate wisdom of Machiavelli is not that the world is divided into predators and prey, but that the capacity for survival and betrayal resides in every single human chest. You cannot truly protect yourself from the game until you possess the courage to admit that you are also a player in it. When we step back and see these behaviors as a single, connected picture, we see they are not random acts of individual malice, but different expressions of the same primal human instinct: the drive to survive in an unpredictable world. Whether through false loyalty, weaponized debt, passive aggression, utility-based love, or strategic weakness, people are always seeking to manage their deep-seated fear of vulnerability. Machiavelli's work was a monument to this truth, a reminder that beneath our manners and sophisticated social circles, we remain creatures of power and self-interest. True loyalty is not a default human setting. It is a rare, heroic rebellion against our biological programming. To expect people to always choose your well-being over their own survival is to invite your own destruction. Once you accept this, the pain of betrayal begins to fade, replaced by a calm, realistic understanding of the forces that govern our world. The final truth is that those who cannot respect your boundaries will eventually find a way to break them. Do not search for saints in a world built by survivors. Instead, look for those who have the courage to show you their shadow before they offer you their light. Keep your eyes wide open, guard the gate of your inner sanctuary with absolute vigilance, and never mistake a temporary truce for permanent peace. For in the end, the only real protection against the storm of human nature is to remain awake to the truth of who we are.